Hey guys, what's going on? Steve Cronin. Today I want to talk to you. I have some more comments. I have some further comments about Adderall. That's coming up.
This video is in full compliance of YouTube's community guidelines. I do not promote dangerous or illegal activities, and this video does not support illegal drug use, nor provide any medical advice. The purpose of this video is of education and to document my own personal experience. No drugs are shown within this video.
So this video is kind of like an addendum to a video I have, which I think is entitled, Is Adderall a Smart Drug? So you might want to watch that first, give it a watch, especially if you don't know that much about the substance. But I suppose watching this video as a standalone is probably okay too. In that video, the thesis is, no, Adderall is not a smart drug. But for further context, go ahead and refer to that video. On Saturday, I went ahead and took a 20 milligram tablet of Adderall given to me by my physician. And the reason why I took it, there's two reasons. Number one, I have a bottle, take as needed. I haven't had some in a very long time. It's not something I take very often, maybe a couple times a year. That's probably my rate of taking Adderall, at least since like 2009, I would say, or 2010. And I took it for two reasons, I suppose. Number one, the primary reason was because I wanted to see what it would be like to use the substance when I actually needed to get some writing done, like some long-term writing for like 3 to 4 hours. But also I wanted to compare it to some other nootropics that I take. For writing, something I find really helpful is aniracetam. It helps with like that word finding problem when you're looking for a word, so when you're writing, it's more of like all these words just come out. Also, I would say Siltep to some extent have some things with writing to help with writing as well. Maybe I should make a video about like what smart drugs has helped me with writing. But I wanted to see if Adderall did something similar. Something I noticed was that while Adderall does give you a sense of motivation, right? For most people, it's like a dopamine precursor, norepinephrine precursor. Like modafinil, by the way, another prescription-only drug, it doesn't really assist with much else. I've heard this quote once, so I'm just kind of pulling it from my memory. But it's something like, coffee, helping you do dumb things faster, or something like that. And that's kind of how I feel like Adderall is. I'm kind of operating under my subjective experiences, so none of this is scientific at all, obviously. But I did notice when I was writing that, I was like, if I just had some Nexus by Axon Labs, which has that aniracetam in it, by the way, if I was on some Nexus right now, so while Adderall does up my motivation, like I felt really motivated to write and do pretty much anything I probably could have put my mind to, Adderall ups my motivation and kind of like in a kind of prolonged way, so it doesn't increase my focus necessarily, but it allows me to be attentive for longer periods of time, but it doesn't increase the accuracy of attentiveness, if that makes sense. So it's not like focus like a camera, right? It's not like focus where things become more clear and crisp, but it would be focused in the sense that you can turn a lens onto something and have it stay there for a while. So you really get in the zone, as it were. But one thing that Adderall does not do, at least for me, and some of the literature that I've encountered, medical literature, again, refer to my previous video for that, is Adderall smart drug. Adderall does not help with word finding issues. It does not really act as a cognitive enhancement unless, of course, you have a cognitive deficit that it's correcting. And smart drugs can potentially work in that way as well. Now, whereas with smart drugs, there is a little more evidence as to where if you already have kind of a more or less healthy brain that's functioning properly with neurotransmitters, electricity, etc., then there's a little more evidence that smart drugs and nootropics can actually increase cognition in already healthy people. But in terms of Adderall, not really. So just getting down to the meat of the video here, with some of my subjective experiences on Saturday, while I was writing and I was able to prolong the motivation to write and kind of somewhat sense of that prolonged ability to write, I definitely had a bunch of word finding issues. Constantly through that experience, I was like, man, I wish I was on aniracetam. I didn't really feel comfortable doubling up in the moment, being like, oh, like, I'm on 20 milligrams of Adderall, let me go grab like some aniracetam, because I actually wanted to do a lot of research before combining those drugs, and I've never planned on combining those drugs before, so I didn't want to do so spontaneously in the moment, because that's sort of irresponsible, at least in my opinion. So yeah, even with Adderall, like, yeah, it might have increased the experience of like, oh, my brain is moving really fast and I can write, and yes, like, it is helping me. Actually, like, when comparing it to long-term nootropic use now, I'm like, man, I wish I had some nootropics. So, while Adderall is probably the substance that has increased my motivation more than any nootropic ever, I would never, ever, ever want that in place of a nootropic. And I just kind of want to share that anecdote with you guys, that little story, as further comments on Adderall, because, you know, people say, like, oh, it's such a great thing, it's such a great thing, it makes me feel great, I get a bunch of work done. Probably so, right, because of the motivation factor, but does it really increase your cognition? No. Like, in the future when I write, pop a few Nexus, like 4 capsules, this is the dose I take, I feel like it works for me, pop 4 capsules of Nexus by Axon Labs, and not only will I be able to write in a prolonged period of time, prolonged fashion, even some smart drug coffee would do this too, but a lot of stuff will be flowing. I won't have, like, I won't have any word finding problems. Like, everything just kind of comes out, and I suspect it has something to do with the increase in acetylcholine, which I don't think Adderall touches, at least not that much. So, anyway, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, this little story, this little anecdote on further comments on Adderall. Please consider subscribing to my channel for future videos on biohacking, nootropics, smart drugs, etc. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, it does look a little dusty, huh?